Today on Why I Kept It, Sheriff of Nottingham. So Sheriff is a social game, and it's not like Mafia or Werewolf or even The Resistance. This is more structure to it, and that's where I think the genre shines. Something like a Sheriff or a Mysterium. And essentially what Sheriff of Nottingham is all about is lying, and not getting caught lying. You are trying to smuggle goods into a town, and the sheriff is always going to try to stop you and catch you trying to smuggle more than you're supposed to. Or bring in more than you're supposed to, which would be smuggling. And everyone gets 2 turns as the sheriff throughout the whole game, and then the game is over. But what is actually in these hands of cards where you're trying to smuggle things through? Well, you've got basic stuff like cheese or bread or chickens or apples. And at the end of the game, we're going to say, hey, who moved the most apples through? Here's a bunch of points. Who moved the second most? Here's a little bit of points. And we'll go through the categories like that. But there are other things you could be adding to your hand. You've got illegal goods, contraband like crossbows and mead, and even like special superpowered versions of the basic goods like the Royal Rooster or Pumpernickel bread, which will give you bonuses towards those majority bonuses. Like say this might count as 2 chickens and this counts as 3 breads. When I say who's got the most bread, I got Pumpernickel. I am well primed to get that most bread in the game bonus. But what do you actually do that's going to cause you to lie? Well, if you've only got 2 turns around the table, you don't have that many opportunities to move a lot of goods through and get your piles big and high. So if I got a hand of 6 cards, I want to get a good number of cards in there. But I can only ever say one type of thing in the bag. So say I got like 2 bread and 2 cheese and a crossbow. Screw it. I'm going to shove all that in the bag. As soon as I clip this shut, you're going to hear it. It is sealed. I cannot change it. And then I got to hand this into the sheriff. I do that. Comes back around. Sheriff picks it up. And they say, how many cards are in this bag? Person's got to tell the truth. They say 5. And I say, and what's in the bag? And they say, oh, it's 5 bread. I swear. I swear on my mother's life. And then the table goes crazy because the sheriff is holding all these bags now. And people are saying, I'll give you 2 coins if you open the other guy's bag. Or I'll give you 5 if you don't open mine. Like, let's cut a deal here. We kind of know I'm lying, but it'll be in our benefit. I'll overpay, whatever it takes. Or the perception of overpaying. Because eventually you're going to benefit by shortchanging the sheriff on one of these deals here. But they have a tough decision to make as a sheriff. And as soon as that pop happens on the reverse, what's out of the bag cannot be put back in. They're going to inspect it. If they called bullshit and the person was telling the truth, the sheriff has to pay a penalty back and the person's going to get their cards in. But if they're smuggling a whole variety of things, possibly even including contraband, and they get called on it, well, then they're going to have to pay a hefty penalty and they will not get anything that they were lying about. They will have very low stacks at the end of the game. That really is the whole game here. This goes up to 5 players. Generally speaking, you don't want to play it with 3 because there's this insane task of like sorting out these giant stacks of cards because only certain types of goods are kept in the game. There's different card counts for 3 players versus the 4 to 5 player game. So really, just consider this a 4 to 5 player game. I play this with my kid who was, I think, not just shy of 5 years old at the time when we last played it. And I could not believe the amount of poker face that was brought to the table. I highly suggest, like, try this out with kids. Try this out with adults, too. Try it with adults that are sober. Try it with adults that are drunk. Do whatever you want. This is going to be a fun game. It is part of the Dice Tower Essentials line. I still do not know what that means. I guess it means it's part of the greatest games of all time. That's not why I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it because I feel it's one of the greatest games out of all the ones on my shelf. So we are going to have a damn good time every time Sheriff of Nottingham comes out. I can assure you that. I've previously talked about, loving the components. You gotta love these felt bags with the clasp. There's so much riding on that moment. Will they or won't they open it up? It also has this very bizarre who is the sheriff like giant fat man art with this insert that stands around the table. You move him around, the thing always falls out, and the sheriff falls over. Whatever. Throw that back in the box. But that's Sheriff of Nottingham. It's a fun one. I'm keeping it. I'll see you around.